to today's edition of Horse's Mouth Live, the Extraordinary Advisor Show. My name is Ellen Rogin, and as always, I have great guests to bring you unbelievable information to help you in every area of your life, especially your business. And today we're going to talk about such an important topic, which is really how do you care for yourself so that you're truly there for your clients. And I imagine that many of you have been to points where like, look, I just got to plow through this. People really need me. And the idea behind this is, are you really there for them if you're not taking care of yourself? And possibly, how do you do this in a way that it helps you really be more there for your clients? And of course, avoid any kind of burnout that might happen. And it's I'm thrilled to have Dr. Preston Cherry here with us today. Preston, I met on LinkedIn. I saw his bio and when he was up to it, I was like, oh, this is somebody that I am curious about getting to know more. And we've, over the last, 6 months or so, have spent some time together to meet each other. And before I bring Preston on and start asking questions, I want to give you more about his background. And I'm going to give you a little bit more bio than I typically do with guests that I have on, because this is someone who speaks from experience about juggling a lot of plates in the air and being super busy. And that's what I so appreciate, someone who's in this business, but also isn't just talking like what he theoretically thinks makes sense, but how he puts it into action. So a little bit about his background, I could probably go on longer, but Dr. Cherry is the founder and president of Concurrent Financial Planning, which is a firm that helps households and business owners achieve life-money balance. Dr. Cherry serves as an assistant professor of finance and the head of personal financial planning at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. So he's a professor, he runs a firm. His current research, so he's doing research as well, surrounds personality traits, financial uncertainty risk. Over the 14 years, he's been in lots of different roles, including as an RA co-investment manager of a large firm, a mutual fund wholesaler. He's also currently serves as a coach for financial advisors in the Carson Group Coaching. Okay, but wait, there's more. Dr. Cherry serves as the president for the Financial Therapy Association. He serves on the CFP board of CFP Board Council on Education, the Association of African American Advisors Foundation Board, the editorial board of the Journal for Personal Finance. He's a practitioner editor for the Journal of Financial Planning. He also has a life. He's engaged. He's getting married this spring. He's a cool uncle, writes poetry, and has a vinyl record collection. Preston, welcome. That's so much. And he's just off an international trip and out of town right now, but working and having fun at the same time. So excited that we finally made this happen. Welcome.
Yes. Pleasure to be here, Ellen. Thank you for the invite. Yes, it's been so cool to be, just interact and, yes, the pandemic or whatever you want to call it has given us opportunity, everyone, to interact virtually. And we've had these great conversations, and you and I, like you said, we've connected through LinkedIn, and look, we've exchanged so many ideas and everything like that. And here we are now. So thank you for having me.
And here we are now. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk about this idea of self-care. I'm curious about what you do and why you think this is so important for financial advisors.
Yes, for myself, it's juggling so much, and the coaches need coaches. I have coaches. I have a coach. I talk to my mother a lot. She's a coach of mine, and she's always, and my dad, and he's always telling me to get five, son, get 5 hours of sleep, because sometimes I burn the candle at both ends. And so I'm always seeking out advice for, what I need to do to balance my own life, learning to say no more. I know things that seemingly intertwine, which they do. I appreciate you reading the bio, but a lot of those things intertwine to a larger vision. And we'll talk more about this later about, staying focused in your lane. But I find that I've gained a lot of weight over the years, but I lost 25 pounds over the last 6 months. So,
Good for you.
but getting stressed out, becoming unfocused, focused on what others are doing, which is out of my character, and taking me out of my lane. So a lot of out of personal experience, as you mentioned, um, it may have thrown me off, and then transferring that over to my own sessions with my own coach, because I coach others, Ellen. So I need to be able to go through my own, and we'll talk about this later too. When I go through my own self audit, I've used these tools in other parts of my life earlier in my life in other aspects to transfer them into now when I'm talking to advisors and going through my own audit and applying them now in order to have better self-care, in order to maximize goals and focus, and then being able to better serve people, because we are serving people in their emotions and their aspirations, and they can feel energy, and we don't want to underserve them. It's just not about money mechanics, the dollars and the cents and the numbers, and right. We are talking about emotion. We are giving advice about life. It is about life, and life money balance is my phrase. So those in conjunction, they're coming to us for better certainty and getting answers for uncertainty. We're communicating them about life-centered planning, so to speak. Okay, so when we're talking about life, we need to be centered ourselves, this self-care, in order to transfer this energy to others.
Okay, so two questions on that. I want to talk about this. What do you mean by self-care? Like what encompasses that? And then this energy part. So let's start with the self-care.
Yes.
Like when you say that, is that just like getting enough sleep? And I would argue with your dad, you need more than 5, but I don't know you. And,
Yes.
like everyone I think would be different. But is it just like sleeping and exercising? Like what's the full definition that you see would be most helpful when people are looking at self-care for themselves?
Yes, great question. First is giving oneself permission that, yes, you have to give yourself permission that you deserve the self-care in the first place. Taking that time out. Not everyone is deserving, of your time before you give yourself time. And it's a lesson I've had to learn the hard way a little bit. So it is uh, being intentional about whenever you want to uh, give yourself that self-care. So give yourself permission and being intentional about scheduling it. All right. And then selecting that self-care that's important to you. So what is that? All right. That may be writing in the morning, your thoughts, getting that out. That may be stretching in the morning. I'm taking up yoga this year. Okay. That may be, some sort of movement. It is definitely getting your physical exercise, whatever you select. Okay. Uh, Walking away from your screens for a little bit. You have these intervals of work, a couple of hours, and then walking away. Okay. And then getting back into it. Spiritual, whatever faith that you may pursue. Okay. That family time, are you going to step away and say, okay, these are my 3 hours that I'm going to dedicate without the interruption from client or email. So we have family, spiritual, physical, even financial. Having those discussions again. Coaches need coaches, advisors need advisors. You don't necessarily may need to hire an advisor. So most advisors that I do know have other planners, but use your own skills to facilitate your own financial health in your household. All right. So these are self-cares that one needs to have better health in order to have well-being. Because if we are to transfer well-being and advise well-being into others, then we have to have it ourselves.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate a couple of things. When I've been, people who've listened to the show a lot know that I've been a really long-term meditator.
Yes.
Many years. And that is when I translate into one of the best business strategies that I've done, because it has me being super present, hopefully, and clear, not always, but I do my best, right? It's a practice.
Right.
But I've never heard anyone say about financial advisors being really good about managing their own finances well. And I think you're calling out an elephant in the room, because I know in the teaching and coaching I've done with advisors, they don't normally talk about this, but there's a lot of advisors that have some areas of their personal financial life that they feel a little out of integrity in. And meaning that they're not necessarily handling things as well. And when you can know that A, you're not alone in it, but B, do something different, whether that's you get a trusted advisor of your own, you get a coach, you handle it yourself, that will free up a lot of this energy that you're talking about to really be there and not feel like you have another story playing in the background. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad. I feel like you've just put a spotlight on, for some advisors, what might be an area that they just feel not as good about as they'd like to.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to we're bringing objectivity to the people that we serve. And sometimes, even though we are the most skilled at what we do, we need another set of eyes sometimes. Maybe even a lot of times. we have our own biases, and we need, particularly if we have spouses and maybe offspring, we need someone in there because maybe we know too much, particularly if there's somebody in the household that knows too much of one thing. All right, someone needs to, there's to be a mediator in there to help that. And again, someone from the outside to bring objectivity would help that process along a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's such a great recommendation. So the second part of this that you started talking about was this transfers of energy.
Yes.
So talk a little bit more about what you mean about that, how clients get energy, whether you're verbalizing it or not. Share a little bit more about that.
Well, yes. I mean, when we're communicating with clients, we are, what we are trained as advisors, well, the good ones are to listen with eye contact, posture. I'm sitting on this little couch in this hotel. I'm trying to keep my posture not slouch, right? And we all know this as human beings. Are you present? Just kind of like when you do financial wellness at work, the workshops and whatnot. We know the statistics. The common statistics is if things are not in order at home financially, then production falls off. Right? That's energy. If you're ever in a conversation and somebody's on their phone and eye contact is off or whatever, or if something's going on internally in someone's life, you can kind of feel that. You can just feel things. Sometimes events or situations don't need actual names. You just feel them, right? And if the clients are coming to us, the people that we serve, to get more confidence, to get more clarity, to get more certainty, okay, those are energies, those are emotions. All right. So if they're coming to you and you're jittery, not focused, low energy, kind of maybe hungover, hunched over, maybe all of that, and you're not there, they're going to be like, oh, maybe I need to engage with someone else. It's an experience.
For sure. And the client might not even be conscious of that. When I was an advisor, I remember a couple the times when I lost clients and was surprised by it or what, it was often right after I had a really judgmental thought about them. Like I didn't say, oh my God, you're totally enabling your kid. Like, why are you paying for all this stuff? Like, but that was my thought. Or you're so mean to your husband. Like, and I would not have verbalized that, but I think people are like receptors, like they've got this antenna up that we can, whether it's conscious or not, and I believe it's often not conscious, just get this feel from somebody. And I think the more wanting the best for your client, putting their needs first, not that you don't take care of yourself, but that all plays into really a deeper relationship, like you're saying, and creating that kind of energy, whether you think they're aware of it or not. So you may be having a crappy day, but to bring your full self there will make such a difference, because who wants to be around somebody whose energy is always icky? Like,
right.
I don't want to do that.
And there's a term, counter transference. You don't want to have your own inner workings that you're working through, whether it be emotional, financial, physical, spiritual, any type of inner working that you're working through. Okay. Counter transfer to the client, because the person that you're serving is going to be bringing their own situations to you. All right. And then you don't want to be working through your issues to that other person.
Yeah.
All right. So again, like you said, you want to be present. You want to be, you have to be in a certain state, a healthy state. And even if you're going through your life is life, nobody is just a realm of openness and all the time. But in that particular moment, if we're in our constant care of self, then we're attempting to bring our best selves in order to receive the client and their issue and have a clean slate as best we can. Right. And if we're not our full selves, then we're going to project. We're, like you said, we may judge, we may counter transfer, and we want to do that. So we do want to give ourselves it. So it is a mutual benefit. One, self-care and all these aspects that we're talking about for ourselves. And that's okay. For people get that mixed up too. It's okay to take care of yourself. Okay. All right. And then two, it's mutually beneficial for the client. So self and client, planner-client relationship.
Yeah. Consistent self-care. I haven't heard that expression before. So in terms of like juggling a lot of things or setting things up in your office that is will support you in, we're going to talk about focus in a little bit, but like on really handling things. Sometimes it feels like, oh, I need 6 other hands or another, Dr. Cherry around. Like, what are suggestions that you have for getting more done efficiently? What are some things that can help with this?
Yes. Oh my goodness. First of all, admitting that, and I have trouble with this, admitting that you do need some help and you can't do it all yourself. I have this thing to where I'd rather do it myself than train somebody, because I think it's going to take more time to, train somebody to do it myself. But, at the end of the day, once I get through training someone, the multiple of that is so huge on the back end. If I just get through hiring someone and training that one person, and then that person can I'm multiplying myself at that particular point. So admitting that, admitting that you do need some outside help, delegating, trusting someone in order to do that, taking the time out to train an individual. Okay. So all of these elements could be barriers to, again, we're coming back to self-care, because all of that comes back to your plate, because and the individual yourself has stopped the progress of gaining a resource, again, now we're back at overwhelmed, we're stressed, frustration, all of that is spilled over into, damaging the self and also damaging your practice, stunting growth, a whole aspect. It is a snowball effect. Snowball effect is just not for paying off credit cards. It could be, it can be applied to many things, right? So this is what we're talking about. So multiplying yourself, so hiring, using technology, investing into a technology stack. There's apps for that for most things. So in that aspect, so just trying to multiply yourself in ways the best you can to create efficiencies to maximize health. So
yeah, and I see advisors, especially small firms, being nervous about hiring that first or second person, like, oh, can I afford this? Should I be doing this? How would you, if someone said like, oh yeah, I just don't know if my revenues are there yet, what would your response be to them?
Yes, I would say right before you're afraid to make the expense, and simultaneously you need it, and before you think you have the cash flow, make it. Because when you have the cash flow, or and it's in your hand, it's really almost too late. You need to do it before the growth point. As soon as you start feeling the pain, go ahead and invest in yourself, invest in your practice, because you know where you want to go. It is a leveraging effect. It's a multiplier effect. All right. So again, you're investing in your own self-care, but you're also multiplying. It's a multiplier effect two ways. Your own health, but also multiplying your business and your practice. So yes, I would say make the investment before you think you're comfortable with making the expenditure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I love that you talked about trust, because it brought me back to, I think I was actually very good at hiring people early in my career because I was really clear what I hated doing and what other people could do better. So I might have been a little ahead of the curve at that, but there was lots of ways that I was controlling for quite a long time, like being worried that they would contact a client without me knowing what was happening. And it ended up that I had hired this woman who at the time was the third employee in the group, and she had an incredible background. She was way overqualified for this job, but she wanted a job that she could have a little bit more flexibility in and a little less pressure. And she just came in and she was doing things, and she was calling my clients and getting everything ready. And I'm like, at first I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh no, that's like really good. And I realized how I was stunting the professional growth of my other employees, and how I was also stunting the business growth by me being too, we'll call it controlling in that.
Yes.
So, so how would someone be like, how would they flex that muscle a little bit to let go? Because I think, advisors really, a lot of the good ones I know are just so particular about how things are done. What would you be recommending to somebody if they find themselves being a little bit less trusting or willing to hand over the reins?
Well, it's almost going through an exercise as you would go through your client. You would ask them, share with me a money experience that you've had in the last year, 2 years, that didn't feel too well. That didn't feel too well. Tell me how that made you feel. And if you had to do it over again, what would you do differently? All right. And then if you did it differently, how would that make you feel? How would that change your emotion? So, how did it make you feel originally? If you had a chance to do differently, what would you do? And then if you did that thing, how would that emotion change? Obviously, that if you did something differently, that emotion would change, and it probably would be good, right? All right. So to answer your question it's like, okay, well, right now I'm suffering because I'm doing all the stuff I'm doing by myself. And yes, I'm controlling. I have the hands on the reins. I'm being particular. I'm overwhelmed. How do I feel about that? Right. And you mentioned meditation, right? Meditate on that. All right. Write that out. Sit with that. At the end of the day, when you're trying to uh, audit the day, think about that. What are your frustrations? Trust me, I've done this. It doesn't feel good because it's like, oh my God, did I do administrative stuff all day? When I could have been creating this, that, and the other. I did not. That doesn't feel good, Ellen. I'm telling you, it doesn't feel good. So, what would I do differently? I wish I had hired somebody. I wish I had trusted someone. I wish I had trained someone. Taking that time out, and then how would that have made me feel? How would that made you feel? The advisor feel? Well, if someone were to be making those calls, like and trusting someone, like you said, your story, all right, somebody, oh man, if you'd have found you a go-getter, how would that have made you feel? That just gave me chills right there, right? If you found someone like that, now look at the end of your day, right? So just go through that exercise and juxtapose. Would you rather have this, nitpick, control, and do it your way, this, that, and the other, or would you rather be doing what you aspire to do, be less overwhelmed, uh, less frustrated, get into your focus lane? Well, I know we're going to get to this. Get into your focus lane, maximize your talents, your focus, and feeling better in your lane. So
what do you mean by that? By focus lane? What are you referring to there?
Absolutely. It's like, okay, well, do we want to be working the books? Yes, I want the workflow process to be this. Yes, macro, we want the workflow process to be that, but we need to be hiring that out. We need a maybe consultant to hire that out. I'm going through that right now. My work, yes, I know what it should look like. I could probably execute it myself. But look, I'm talking about it right now. Does that sound right? Does that sound right, Ellen? Do I need to be working on a workflow process and a tech stack? And then does that sound right? It does not, does it? Right? I'm frustrated talking about it right now. Right? So I need to that needs to be something off of my desk because that's not in my focus lane. My focus lane needs to be overviewing the plan that somebody else, a paraplanner, which in 30 days I'll be hiring for. And I'm telling you, this is by experience because I'm frustrated right now because I'm spending too much time in the plan of itself. Right? I need to be overviewing the paraplan. The plan itself. I need to be creating content so I'm more visible in front of my client, in front of my prospects, but the public. I need to be having more speeches. I need to be creating more opportunities to be onboarding clients. I need to be in front of and this, that, and the other. I need to be working on my book. I know we talked about that. Everybody keeps asking me about my book. It's like, Dr. Cherry, when you come out with your book? It's 2 years now. Even my coach, she's like, we had 2 weeks scheduled. Where's the book? So I haven't been able to do that because of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about this focus lane, what are those 4 things that you, the advisor, whomever, has written down? Okay, I want to grow my firm. That's a macro. I want to grow my firm this way. That's a macro goal. But write this book, content, this. You had these micro specific goals that you scheduled. All right, what you need to be doing. And anything outside of that, it needs to be hired out, teched out, right? And human capitaled out. So you can be in that lane and then couple that with these self-care elements that we're talking about. Now we're having a successful firm, and we're also gives us an opportunity, Ellen, to when somebody wants to come on board with your practice, you get to build culture too, because people want to come on board and be a part of a good culture. Nobody wants to be a part of your firm, you're part of your practice, or the practice, not your practice, because once you have people come on board, it's the practice. Because you have a culture now, you have to build a team. People want to be on a team and feel a part of something. Mm-hmm. Again, if that self-care, that trust, if that health across the board, And if none of that's there, then we're back to square one.
Yeah. To go back to doing that focus, I think it's really easy because there may be areas in your practice that you're really good at, but aren't your best use of your time. Or maybe you think it's really fun, but it's really not high value. And then you'll go home, like you said, at the end of the day and go, I really should have really should have called those clients instead of doing my QuickBooks or, doing the workflows. The other day, my brother has a really big birthday, and my other brother and I were working on a surprise video for him. And I have a lot of fun at editing videos. And at least I as-is'd what I was doing. So last week, I said to the brother that I taped it with, I'm like, okay, I'm sure I'm going to spend the afternoon editing this versus what I really should be doing, like creating a new proposal for someone that I promised them. Yeah, I did do that. I at least was aware that wasn't my highest best use, but it was okay. But that idea, I love that you're talking about like those focus areas, because I think that a lot of times people just get unconscious and they're just doing what's easy. And it may be a way of avoiding, not something you hate, because you shouldn't have a lot of crap in your business that you hate, but some things just take a little bit more energy. Maybe it's calling that client that you have to deliver some news to you're not excited about, or following up with somebody. But those are the things, to me, from the context you put around that actually is self-care, because then at the end of the day, you're going to feel better about things versus carrying that through the entire weekend of all the stuff you hadn't handled.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more, Ellen, on that. That is spot on, is getting into the busy work that you feel comfortable with to potentially avoid maybe something you're not good at. Not, if I put at, my mother would kill me if I put at the end of a sentence. That you're something that's not at your best use of your time, that you don't have the talent for, or that's going to give you a sense of accomplishment because there's something on the table that you need to do that may not give you that sense of good feel, or it's a long task that may need some commitment that you're going to have to get through, but you transfer or shift some energies into something that's going to make you feel good as part of avoidance, like you said. Oh my goodness, you hit that on the head right there. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Great point right there.
I am proud of the video though, by the way. And I still have this other project that I need to get done. So, right? Preston, this is amazing. I love that you're talking about these things that I don't think get talked about enough in our industry. I'm really grateful that in your super busy schedule, you've carved out time in between your trips when you just landed in New York to have this conversation with me. I encourage people out there to connect and follow you. That's how I found you to begin with. If people want to reach out, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yes, my firm website is concurrentfp.com. And then my handle is Dr. Preston Cherry. And it's the same over social at Twitter, IG, and LinkedIn. So Perfect. Those are the ways to get me. Yes. Yeah. And then, yes.
Go ahead.
Well, and there's just a couple of announcements is that still working on the book, but the podcast, that's going to be my little baby that's been working on for a while. That's coming out in February. And then also I am the Professor Project, right? We're doing some big things at UWGB, which is the Center for Personal Financial Planning. I'm going to be getting young people into the profession and also helping students on campus get one-on-one personal financial counseling with the personal finances. So that's coming out soon as well.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm so busy. And just a quick thing, my first book got done after it was a long time ago. My daughter was 7 or 8 and she said, Mommy, when are you going to get that book done you keep talking about? I was like, okay, that'll get your book done. When your kid says, like, quit talking about this. But yeah, I'm here to support you whenever you want a little help with that. And we can't wait to have you back on to talk about your book when it's finally out. Yes. So Dr. Preston Cherry, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate it.
And thank each and every one of you for watching and listening. I'm so grateful to have you here watching On Horse's Mouth Live. Again, my name is Ellen Rogin. If you want more information about me and the work that I do, you can go to ellenrogin.com. And if you go to ellenrogin.com/horse's mouth, you can download my special report, What Extraordinary Advisors Know That Others Don't. And so the question to ponder today is, how are you going to increase your self-care? Remember, be great and create great every single day.